Let's talk about this and this. These two items can save you a lot of problems in the future if you use them right. I'm going to tell you a short story that you may find valuable, and that's the topic of this video. Hello again, everyone. I'm attorney Robert Flessas. I hope you find my videos helpful. If so, please consider subscribing, liking, and sharing. And by doing that, you're helping to pump the algorithm so others are able to find my videos and benefit from them too. Keep writing your issues in the comments section below. Don't write a book now. Be short and concise. Now, I can't give you legal advice, but I might do a video on your comment. Deal? Well, let's get to this video. These two items don't cost much, right? Using them, though, can save you a ton of money down the line. Let me tell you a quick story based on a recent comment I received from a viewer. This viewer rented a unit under a written lease. He wanted to get out of the lease early so he could give the landlord a 60-day notice that he was vacating early. Good. He put the notice in writing. But there's more. The reason he gave the notice was because he couldn't afford to pay the rent after the 60 days expired. There were 3 more months remaining on the lease after the 60 days, and he wanted to work out an agreement so he wouldn't be responsible for the balance of the rent due. The strategy was that if he gave the landlord 2 months advance notice, then she'd have time to find a replacement tenant. In exchange, she would then forgive the remaining 3 months of the lease and return his security deposit. The landlord agreed. A very nice proposal by this viewer. He's looking out not only for himself, but for the landlord too. So he paid his 2 months of rent. He moved out a little earlier so the landlord can get an early start on finding a new tenant. Once he was out, he texted his new address to the landlord so she could return his security deposit. Well, what do you think happened? The landlord replied, despite their agreement, that she wasn't going to return the security deposit and she was going to sue the viewer for the remaining rent due under the lease. This viewer acted in good faith, but didn't use these two items. He didn't get the agreement in writing. He trusted the landlord with a verbal agreement. Plus, this viewer now lives in another state. Well, it's kind of late now to backtrack on this one, but here's the lesson that everyone watching this video should take from this. In any real estate transaction, you need to get the terms of an agreement in writing. This includes leases or any type of an agreement for that matter. Written lease agreements usually have a clause that says that the lease is the complete agreement of the parties and that any changes to the lease must be in writing. You'll never see a written provision in a lease that calls for verbal agreements that are binding because it's hard to prove verbal agreements. If you rent, look at your lease and tell me if you see a provision like that. Go ahead, I'll wait. Okay, time's up. Any landlord that would insert such a provision would be really stupid. This viewer assumed that the landlord would honor a verbal agreement. He trusted her and now he got burned. Well, that's the risk he took. Plus, he gave the landlord his new address, which allows her to easily find him if she wants to sue him. Never attempt to change the terms of a written contract verbally. Always get an amendment in writing. If he would have done that from the start and the landlord did what she did, then he would have had a written agreement that proved her wrong if she took him to court. Plus, he could have hired a local attorney to sue her for the return of the security deposit that he just lost if he had the agreement in writing. A written agreement to amend the lease would have handed him a slam dunk case. Well, I feel bad for this viewer, but hey, that's why these two things and lawyers exist. Remember to subscribe, like, and share. I'm attorney Robert Flessas. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.